We can't really talk about U.S. intelligence without delving a little bit deeper into that embarrassing group messaging mistake earlier in the week in which Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was added to a U.S. administration group discussing U.S. military plans in Yemen in the latest responses, and there have been many. President Donald Trump dismissing the accidental addition of Jeffrey Goldberg to that group, calling it a glitch. Dan Perry is laughing. Tell us why.
It's a hell of a glitch. It's a terrible mistake, and it puts a journalist in both a wonderful position as a journalist, but also a terrible position because are you a citizen first or a journalist first? And the right answer at a journalism school is you're a journalist, and if you know something, you have to report it. But at all cost, maybe not. I mean, sometimes you have to somehow do a judgment call. He, for the longest time, for days after this glitch was discovered, didn't want to say what was there. He sort of danced around it. He was trying to be a citizen first. I think what worries me more than anything is not the glitch / mistake of Jeffrey Goldberg being added. Mistakes will happen, although at some point incompetence, such as we've seen from some quarters of the administration, become a worry. But really the foolishness of Secretary Hegseth and going out to the cameras and saying that there were no plans being discussed there. I mean, lying is one thing, but a lie that can be easily exposed and is likely to be immediately exposed is particularly abysmal. And of course, now they've published the actual text of it, The Atlantic has, and it reveals that indeed, shockingly, on this unsecured channel, they were talking about precise plans, exact targets, times in which planes would take off. It is almost literally unbelievable, as in I can hardly believe it happened. And of course, then you have Trump talking about the editor of The Atlantic, one of the most respected publications in America, as a hack journalist who's meaningless. I mean, the absurdity just grows ever more curious.
And of course, Pete Hegseth, when he says nobody was texting war plans, you're saying it's very obvious that was not the case. And he knows television and the media all too well, given the fact that he used to be a Fox News host as well. Jonathan Regev, does somebody need to be axed, fired, as Donald Trump used to do so well on television?
I think so. If this is such a big mistake, then yes. As much as I would love to be added to one of those groups, why you're laughing? we are not supposed to be added.
It would be a terrible dilemma for you.
Yeah, it would be a terrible dilemma. But this is not something that's supposed to happen, and it did happen. So yes, someone has to pay the price. Whether it's the National Security Advisor, maybe if he's the one that did the mistake. I think the answer is yes.
Very quickly, should someone be fired?
Yes, of course someone should be fired, specifically a Secretary of Defense for being this way. But I see a bigger problem, which is that everything about how the administration is handling this suggests such an indifference towards public opinion and towards any kind of norms of how to handle such a situation that it is genuinely disturbing. And it means that they're interested in the opinions of no one but their hardcore base. That is not a way for a government to prosper.
Not a great look at all. Dan Perry, international affairs analyst, and security analyst Jonathan Regev, thank you both so much for being here in studio. Appreciate it. Thank you for being part of the Rundown.